Hello and welcome to Nick V Uncensored. Today we've got Melissa Redpill, and today we're going to be talking about how the prophecy is unveiling of the control system. This is something that Melissa spoke about a few months ago, and now she's going to bring it to your attention how it is unveiling, and she's going to bring in all the Trump and the Silva and Maduro and all of the exciting stuff that's going because the system is collapsing, and I'm very
That's
excited.
right.
Melissa, what's going
Yeah.
on? How are you?
Yes. Hey, I've missed you guys. We had a big Christmas and got more to tell you about that. But today I wanted to tell about something that, we've been looking for this prophecy to be fulfilled. And I had talked about something big happening at Christmas. And I'm so happy to say I was right. So I'm really pretty excited about it. If you guys remember, I had talked about there being an angel standing in the sun. And I was looking for this because this is an amazing prophecy in Revelation 19 at the end of the Battle of Armageddon. And I said, you know what, you guys, something big is happening on Christmas Day. And well, of course, we know that the hugest thing happened on Christmas Day, which was somebody somehow had basically blown a hole in the silver market, and it's really affecting the big banks badly, right? I'm sure you guys
Right.
have talked about that a lot.
Right. So we have. So go into it a bit more with the banks and the collapse.
Okay, so this is the thing, and I'm going to share the screen with you because it's going to be easier for me to show you than to tell you.
Mhm.
Okay, so let me see. Okay, this is the prophecy and that I had talked about, and I had posted this on November 10th because we're like, okay, what is going on? Is there something big that's going to happen for Christmas? Here's the prophecy in Revelation chapter 19. It says, I saw an angel standing in the sun, shouting to the vultures flying high in the sky, come gather together for the great banquet God has prepared. Come eat the flesh of kings, generals, and strong warriors, of horses and their riders, of all humanity, both free and slave, small and great. So this is at the end of the Battle of Armageddon. We've been fighting. That's what my whole thing is. I've been telling you guys for all this time. We're fighting the literal battle of Armageddon, good versus evil. We're taking them down. And at this moment is when basically we've already fought the battle, and now it's like charge. It's time to go in and pull the whole system down. For all this time, we've wondered, why is this taking so long? We've known, that we've been in the middle of this battle. So why don't we go ahead and arrest them? And we've known, to trust the plan. We've talked about that many, many times. So, it's like all the things had to be in place. And so this right here in Revelation 19 is a sign about an angel standing in the sun. Well, the angel is in the biblical prophecy. It's about an angel messenger or a star sign. And so I had posted this video right here on November 10th. And I think I had told you about it. I don't know. But anyway, here it is, November 10th, 2025. And I said, you guys, something big, I think, potentially could happen on Christmas. And so I'll show you what's actually showing up in the sky. So here is, actually that's where, okay, here we go. Here is Venus. Venus is one of the messenger stars, or even planet, whatever you want to call it, but it does loops in the heavens. And so it is going to catch up with the sun. It doesn't do this very often. And I said, you know what? There is an angel, quote, Venus standing in the sun on Christmas. So I'll let you see. You see it's marked in, has the highlights of the red markings. And you see the sun, and it's been following or chasing the sun all this time. And so this is when I posted that here on Christmas, it was going to catch up. I said, is that what we're potentially looking for? Okay. There you go. It's right there on Christmas, right there.
Where is it?
Now,
Because I can't see it. The screen is the same.
I know. It's the screen is what?
I'm still seeing your Instagram, your Telegram.
Okay. So this is, can you see where it says biblical star sign this Christmas?
No, I can only see the White House post that you put today. The Trump administration is proud, blah, blah, blah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Freedom Force, your Telegram.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to figure out what you are seeing, my friend.
Oh, it was the first. This is what I thought we were talking about.
Okay.
Maybe.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
must be,
okay. So
I
what
must be pulling the, okay. Are you seeing the one about the vaccine reform?
I'm seeing the schedule it's a
Oh,
picture of
no. Okay. I'm sorry. You're on the wrong,
vaccine
we're on
reform.
the,
Yes.
okay. Okay. That's the wrong screen. Okay. Let me try to unshare.
maybe
How did I get on that one?
maybe unshare and come back in. Let's have a look.
Yes. Stop share. Okay. Oh, that's
Okay.
a bummer. Okay. So let me go back. Let me see if I can get it to this one.
Yeah, sorry about that. I did
No,
I
that's great.
wasn't
Okay.
sure what we were looking at.
Now do you see one that says
Oh,
a
now
biblical star sign?
see your beautiful face now.
Okay. 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 Well,
There you
now we're on
go.
the right screen. Now it's going to make more sense, right? Okay. So here, okay. So back to here's Venus, at the end of October. Okay.
Right.
And again, I had posted this November 10th, 2025, because I'm always, you guys know that I'm like the biblical girl. I'm like always looking at the biblical prophecies to figure out, what is going on. They've given God has given us so many clues in his word. And we've already discovered this main one right here, which is the sign of the Son of Man, which was the kickoff to the Battle of Armageddon. This is on my page, melissaredpill.com. If you haven't seen this, go to melissaredpill.com and you'll see this beautiful sign in the heavens. That was the kickoff to this entire battle that we have been fighting all this time. And I didn't realize at the time it was going to take, 8 years. Either
Mhm.
way, here it is. I posted this. I said, is something big going to happen? And I go back to this passage I was trying to read, and I was trying to have you guys follow along. Right here, where it says, the angel standing in the sun, shouting to the vultures flying high in the sky. You see that verse?
Yes.
Okay, great. It says, gather together for this great banquet. This great banquet is where we finally destroy them. This is what you and I have been fighting for all this time. Everybody on your show, everybody on my channel, everybody's been fighting hard to destroy these people, to expose them and to bring them down. And we know, of course, that's what President Trump is working toward. And it's like, when is it finally going to be the moment to pull them down? All right. So let me tell you, it says it would be an angel standing in the sun. Well, I said, an angel messenger in the sun could potentially be Venus. Is something big going to happen on Christmas? And so now watch. I'm going to try to make it a little bit bigger. Hopefully you can see that. You see the red markings around Venus right there?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, I'm gonna fast forward. I'm gonna play it, and you can watch as you see Venus is going to start to chase down the sun. It's very rare that Venus is actually, quote, standing in the sun. So you see that it's getting closer and closer and closer. And as the days go by, and here it is, like early December, you'll see that it finally does catch up with the sun on Christmas. Now my mouse ended up covering up the date, but that's the 25th of December. And so I said, is something big going to happen on Christmas Day? And now we know that Christmas Day is not Jesus's birthday. The world celebrates Christmas on December 2025, just December 25th. But we know that that's not his birthday. We know that he was conceived on 9/11 and he was born June 14th. And if you haven't seen my videos on the Bethlehem star that shows the proof of that, go to my website, melissaredpill.com, and you can see that. But I believe our forefathers knew about these signs. They said, this is that, they followed the stars. They knew from, that's how they did their plantings and all of this. They knew this was a special date. And I think that's why we've all been looking for, when is Christmas coming? We're all, anticipating Christmas. And so I believe that this marks right here, this date, exactly where it's talking about in Revelation 19, about this angel standing in the sun. If you're not familiar with my work that I do on the decoding the book of Revelation, it's right here, End Times and 1,000 Years of Peace. That's my decode of the book of Revelation. All right. So that right there marks, in my opinion, the end of time, times, and half a time. And if you're not familiar with that, if you can go to see the book of Daniel, chapter 12, and the angel was talking to Daniel, telling him, all these horrible things were going to happen. I'm sure he was showing Daniel things like the uh, pandemics, the nuclear war, all the horrible things that the enemy has conceived of to destroy our health and cause all kinds of just hell on earth, all the communism and all that. And so he was saying, how long until this is over? Here's the verse right here. It says, how long? And isn't that exactly what we've been talking about? Is how long will this be until these shocking events are finally over? Because Daniel was seeing how horrible it was going to be. He says it will go on for times, and half a time, which is so obscure. Like, what does that mean? He says, when the shattering of the holy people has finally come to an end, all these things will have happened. And when it talks about holy people, don't think of it like a particular religion. Think of the people who are just love humanity, love each other, want everybody to be at peace, want everybody to just be happy. That's what it's really talking about. When all of us have suffered, all these at the hands of these evildoers, we finally rise up against them. Then it will finally have ended. Okay, but
Yeah.
times, and half a time is very, very interesting um, symbolism. So times, and half a time. If you think of time as 1 year and times as 2 years and half a time is half a year, that's 3.5 years. And you're like, so what, Melissa? This is all throughout the Bible. It talks about, you'll see a symbolism about 3.5 years or 3.5 days or 42 months, which is the same time period of time, 42 months, or you'll see 1,260 days. And you'll see it, sprinkled all throughout God's word. You're like, what is that about? Well, the thing that I've come to the conclusion of, it's a time of battle. And so from this moment, from this time right here, like I was just showing you, from this beginning of this right here, it's not an exact number of days. It's a symbolically a period of struggle, of birthing, of what we've been going through as humanity. And so, for example, here it's a 42-week gestation period, 40 again with the 42. And so you see this symbolism is a birthing. And so that's what we're looking for. Well, I believe that this sign got completed on Christmas when the angel was staying in the sun. Okay. So I'm like, what is going to happen that is going to bring them down? Well, about the silver,
Right.
that on Christmas Day, the silver shot up to such a high amount. I can't remember what the number was. Something happened
I think we
that,
saw it at $80 or something.
yes, it went to $80 exactly. And I was thinking it was going to crack their system at 50, but at 80, it busted the system. They, like, one of the banks, and I went into one of these on my most recent videos right here. These videos I've been talking about silver. If you want to understand more about what's been happening on the silver, I go into more detail on those videos. But yeah, they literally, one of the banks ended up becoming insolvent and having to go on Christmas Day to the Fed to be able to cover their bases, because what they have to do is a margin call, the difference between what they had it on their books at as $30 and $80 for all the ounces they had. They had to go and get billions of dollars. They basically became insolvent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah.
is really what we're looking for. Before I show you this video, I'm going to show you super quick. In the book of Nahum, most people don't read Nahum. Nahum is a book that's very hardly ever read. I'm seriously in all of my time I've been in church, whatever. I've never heard anyone read the book of Nahum. But look at this, where it talks about loot the silver, plunder the gold. There's no end to Nineveh's treasures. It's vast, uncounted wealth. Who does that sound like? It's this criminal cartel. The banking cartel. They have cheated the system, doing little pieces of paper, little pieces of paper, saying, "Oh, here, I'll sell you this right here for for $30," and they've tricked everybody into buying just a little piece of paper. And now, because of the value of silver going skyrocketing. Now they're having to cover these margin calls,
Hmm.
and it's going to bankrupt them. And that is what it's talking about in Nahum. It says, if you read the whole thing, it's talking about, they're the river gates have been torn open. The palace is about to collapse. This is talking about the New World Order. This is a prophecy about them collapsing. And what is it that causes them to collapse? Nineveh's exile has been decreed. All the servant girls mourn its capture. They moan like doves and beat their breasts in sorrow. Nineveh is like a leaking water reservoir. In other words, the New World Order. They're slipping away. Stop, someone shouts, but no one even looks back. Loot the silver, plunder the gold. They have tricked everybody on the system so long, and that is going to be their undoing. I'm thinking that you're in agreement on that.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'm not sure about, and I want to ask you this is, and this is from an economic standpoint. And listen, I don't know either. But if silver goes up like a lot, wouldn't things become expensive, like technology and stuff like that? Wouldn't it become expensive for the consumer? Would it be a bad thing?
Right. Well, so but the bottom line is that we want our money based upon reality, right? All of the pricing of everything based upon
Oh, you're saying
upon
that we've got to there needs to be a correction.
it has to be right. And they have uh fudged with the numbers so much that nothing is as it should be. I mean, for example, people used to be able to buy a car for $300. It's they because of how they've manipulated the stock market and the silver and the gold, which is true money, because obviously paper money is just it's has no intrinsic value. It has to be based upon something that has that true value. And so I think that's really what it's going to boil down to. I'm not my focus is not on one thing or another costing more money. It's what we have to focus on is having there being currency that is based upon having a true value
Mm.
instead of this fiat currency. And that's the problem. And that, of course, that's what Q told us months ago, way back at the beginning of this battle, is that all of the currency has been manipulated. None of it has been based upon silver or gold. It's all based upon these, just whatever number that they choose. They have been able to, and even to this day, they're kind of, gold, silver has been moving up, and gold too, but they still have manipulated so much of it because they have like 350 paper silver to one true silver coin. So
I
they can
see.
easily manipulate it. It's outrageous. And that's what has to stop, because they have raided every country, and that's what has to stop. So, just getting everything where it's on a correct footing. So
Absolutely.
things are going to
Yeah.
go back to what it should have been. I just think that this is so cool because, you know, this is this is what the Bible has told us was going to happen. Look at this. I love this passage. It says, soon the city, think of the city as in this criminal cartel, this criminal, the New World Order. Their city is plundered, emptied, and ruined. Hearts melt and knees shake. The people stand aghast, their faces pale and trembling. This is not us. This is the criminal cartel is shaking in their boots. And that's what's happening behind the scenes. All these years, so many of us have struggled and to try to figure out how to make ends meet, how to come up with, enough money to pay our bills. And now the roles are reversed.
Hmm.
This is
Yeah.
exactly what was told to us. Literally, this Nahum was written like 2,500 years ago. And it was saying that what is going to be their undoing, it's the silver and the gold. And the thing that I love about it is that is happening, that happened the first bank to fall. And again, yes, they went and they got, they've got a stopgap, whatever, to cover their debts temporarily. But that first one happened on Christmas. And it's like that first, if you think of a house of cards, it's the first card to fall and the first thing to fail. And so I think what's going on behind the scenes, and of course, President Trump is not going to come out and say this, but I'm sure he's had some very honest conversations with all these bankers, the JP Morgans, and they've been, living large all this time thinking, oh, nothing could happen to them. And all of a sudden they realize that they cannot cover the value of gold and silver, and they cannot stop it. They've
Yeah.
always been able to manipulate it. They can't do it now. So I think that's really what's behind what's going on in Venezuela. And I'll get to that in just a second. Another passage. This is actually someone that I know who is like not really crazy about the Bible, because what she has done is she's like, okay, the church has been so manipulative of people, and she doesn't like how the church has done. But all of a sudden she's like, you know what? As soon as I read this passage to her, she says, you know what? I realized that I need to separate out the people who've used the Bible for evil and for manipulating others, and just say, look, I'm just going to look at the Bible and just and separate it out from the people who've used it for evil. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the passage in Habakkuk 2. This is one of the first ones that I read that I began to realize I needed to have a channel so I could help explain these things to everyone. It's us talking to these people who've become rich by extortion. But how much longer can this go on? Suddenly your debtors will take action. They will turn on you and take all you have while you stand trembling and helpless. That is what's going to happen. All these ones who have cheated the system and used the currency for evil, they will end up with nothing. Think Maduro. Think all these bankers. All of them, and they will be removed. They will pay for what they've done. They'll have nothing, just like it says right here in this verse. And good people would be put in these positions who will not raid and do fake pieces of paper that they say is worth, as like a coin of silver. It's, that they will not be able to do that anymore. It says, because they've plundered many nations. The people in every country, from Venezuela to Iran to every country in the world, it has been plundered. All their wealth has been plundered and taken from them. And now the survivors, that's us, will plunder you. So I wanted you to see that. So she was like, that's a verse I can sink my teeth into, because this is what's going to happen to these ones who have done such evil. Now, this is the thing that after I realized that I had been able to come up with this end of this battle of 1,260 days, then I began to realize there's a passage in Daniel. Let me see if I can find the one in Daniel. Okay, here it is. It's a little farther down. So he's talking to the angel about this, and he says, okay, many will be purified and cleansed by all these trials. The wicked will continue in their wickedness, and none of them will understand. Only the wise will know what it means. So that's why we are always looking and trying to figure out, what all these things mean. And again, I'm looking at this biblically. What is the promise that has been in there for literally thousands of years, that this day would come when this evil regime would fall? It says, okay, the next date that we're looking for, and if you count from the 25th of December, from the time the daily sacrifice is stopped and the sacrificial object that causes desecration is set up to be worshipped, there will be 1,290 days. I'll just boil that down for you. They have been basically, quote, sacrificing humanity. They have been stealing and taking from, and this is exactly what we're seeing in Venezuela. What have they been doing in Venezuela? They've been taking the oil, they've been giving it, propping up Cuba. They've been propping up Iran, propping up, using this all over the world for their evil system, and just robbing it from the people. And they've been doing this forever, right? And the people have suffered untold. Just Venezuela is a perfect example. So it says that there'll be 1,290 days. That's 30 more days, from 1,260 to 1,290. And so what are we seeing? I believe that we are in this, I don't know what you called it at the beginning of this video, this just bringing down.
Like unveiling.
Yes. And it's also just this the whole system is crashing down around their ears.
It
It
is.
doesn't. I mean, that's what
Not
we're
only that, but even people are seeing through the illusion now because the veil's thinning. So I think something's happening even on a conscious
absolutely.
level.
I agree.
And
I agree.
I think
It
this
has
is
to.
and I think this is the consciousness return, that Christ is
Yes.
returning within us because the kingdom of God is within us. And when we
Amen.
awaken, that is returning, right?
Right.
Because all this
Right.
time we were hijacked.
Yes.
And when you're
Yes.
suffering, the soul
Yes.
becomes dormant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
it's
what I
been really,
think.
really, really, really hard. And so now the people are seeing through. I mean, this was huge what President Trump just did, basically taking over Venezuela. And so a lot of people, one of my most recent videos, I was talking about, okay, what is really going on? Because is it, some people are saying he's going in
To get the
to
oil.
get the oil, right? And that's a part of it. It's also because obviously saving the people of Venezuela, which it's been going on a long time, and that they've been needing to be rescued for a very, very, very long time. So, but why why now? And then the other thing is, many people are talking about this whole thing with Maduro being taken into custody. That is exposing how this entire vote rigging system was started in Venezuela, and and it was carried over into America, and that he has this, he's going to be held to an account for being the head of this,
Mhm.
starting with the Dominion system. But I think the biggest thing is the silver, because there's silver mines in Venezuela, huge silver mines. And on the 15th of December, they signed an agreement to open up a smelter to take this raw material from Venezuela and bring it into this place in Clarksville, Tennessee, to to um to refine it and to get out like 11 different minerals that we need for national security. And our government is 40% has a 40% stake in this. Now, JP Morgan is financing it, but they are not, because just with just cash dollars, but they're not going to get the silver. They're not, they're just financing this operation. So that right there tells you there's more to this than oil or the election. This is about us getting access to the raw materials that we need to really keep our country from being taken over by other nations. And so I don't think President Trump was at all surprised by this. I think this is all part of this timing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that is a huge piece of this. And again, if you haven't seen that, go to my Red Pill the World, and I go into a lot more detail there. Now, so I'm going to finish with the prophecy real quick because I know our time is running out. Okay, so as I was showing you right here, it's at 1,290 days. So over the next 30 days, and then it says, and the blessed are those who wait and remain until the end of the 1335 days. And I'm always like, okay, that is basically our victory moment. And so if I'm right, if this is true, that Christmas Day and the bringing down of this, these banks, the beginning of the bringing down of the banks happened on Christmas Day, and that was, quote, 1,260 days. We are in that period of time, but to get to the 1335 days, which is basically 2.5 months, 2 full moons and a half a moon. Okay, if you think of it on the that's the way, really the biblical way is to look at it, is moons and half a moon. So it's the interesting thing is that on the 1335 days takes us to Purim. And a lot of us have been researching about Purim. I mean, you've studied about Purim. You've heard other people talking about Purim. I think that is huge, that it takes us from 1,260 days to the 1335, from Christmas Day to this year. I'll show you the calendar. This year on Purim, which is starts Purim Eve is the 13th of Adar. And so that is the day of Purim. That's actually that's actually my birthday. So I think that
Mm,
was pretty
right.
cool. Happy for me, because that could very well be that 1,335 days. So we'll go each day and we will see if that is the case. I have a feeling I mean, so many things are happening that I would not be surprised. In the past, we've said, well, things are kind of going slowly. There's still so many things that have to be unveiled before this can happen. Right now, I feel that it could very easily happen where Shine Bomb of Mexico and Lula of Brazil and all these Petrol of Colombia could be arrested also.
Right.
It could happen. It could be Khomeini. I mean, who knows what's going to happen over the
Obama.
next? Ah,
That would be good.
be still my heart, right? So, I think that it's wouldn't. I even saw this funny video from this guy from Australia saying, President Trump, we don't have a standing army really. So if you want to come on in and take over our installed puppet leader, just come on down, right? So I think that everybody in the world is realizing that their leaders are installed puppets. It's just horrible. Okay, so if you want to know more about Purim and what am I talking about on Purim, go to my website, again, melissaredpill.com, and here is the video that I posted a couple years ago, where I go into detail of what is happening with Purim. I'm probably going to do another one because I have a feeling this Purim is going to be a very big one. Purim, day of victory. The evil is defeated only by prayer and fasting. So Purim basically is the day when, during the time of Esther, way back, like in Daniel in the lion's den, but way back then they had there was an edict that was put out to annihilate all of God's people. All of God's people were going to be killed by edict of the king. And by a miracle, they were rescued. And really, that's where we are on the timeline of history, is that these people have been trying to annihilate us. And Purim is the celebration that they won. They won the victory, and they actually, the tables were turned, and the God's people destroyed those who were trying to kill them. So that's what we would celebrate on Purim, on the 13th of Adar, or basically the March 3rd. And so if you want to read more about it, it's in the book of Esther, like Esther chapter, let me go to chapter 9, and you'll see here kind of just a brief study of it. On March 7th, it's on different years, it's different dates, but basically the 13th of Adar, the two decrees of the king were put into effect. On that day, the enemies of the Jews had hoped to overpower them, but quite the opposite happened. It was the Jews who overpowered, and don't think of Jews and Zionist. Think of those who love God. Okay. They overpowered their enemies, and they gathered in cities throughout all the king's provinces to attack anyone who tried to harm them. But no one could make a stand against them, for everyone was afraid of them. And all the nobles of the provinces and the high officers and the governors and the royal officials helped for fear of Mordecai. So in other words, they won the victory. And every year this is celebrated on the 13th of Adar, which is again the 1,335 days from what I believe was this huge sign that was on Christmas Day. I think that's everything. All right. So
Wow.
if you want to, yeah, I really do think,
So what
yeah.
do you
And
think's going
high
to
no
happen?
silver.
What do you think should happen in the next, like, what do you think's next?
Well, okay. So I think that more and more of them are going to fall. Like President Trump just said yesterday that Cuba is about to fall,
Right.
and really on its own, because I think that potentially Venezuela has been this linchpin, and once it falls, and all these countries that have been basically living off of their wealth, once that falls, and of course it hadn't been going to the people; it's just been going to the power structure. Then they crumble. He was
Yep.
just talking about that Cuba, that would happen to Cuba. And then he also said for Petrol of Colombia to watch his beep, right? So I feel like that over this next couple of months, we're going to see one fall after another, and that the banks are going to be falling and being exposed and brought down for their, because they're shady business practices. So I think that it's all going to crumble around their ears. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds right. I mean, that's why I said Obama, because I think it's going to be a domino effect. I think roads are going to lead back to, you know, very famous politicians. You know,
Right? Yes. And then I think it's the 15th of December. Bill Clinton is supposed to go before,
Congress
is it
or the
Congress?
court.
Right. And so that's the great question is, is that going to expose that, him and all their criminal operation? And of course, that's going to be our job. We are the news now because we know that the mainstream media is not going to tell it. So we're going to have to be the ones telling the truth about what they did in Haiti and all that. And of course, I guess you've heard about what's going on with all the corruption that's going on with the SNAP benefits, and how they're just using all this for millions and millions of dollars. The
It's
corruption
crazy.
is, yeah, that all of this is just being exposed faster than ever, and really having to come out. It's actually coming out on the mainstream media.
Mm. Well, it's going to be so. They can only lie so much, but they will try and manipulate it. I don't never trust them. Never. You
No,
know.
no. But I think that we are in that go time. We
Yeah.
are in this huge moment in time, and I think that it's going to happen pretty quickly. I hope so.
Absolutely. All right.
President Trump has always talked about July 4th being a huge celebration, like, for all the world. So, if that's to be, if we're going to have a huge celebration 4th of July, something's got to happen before then.
Mm,
So think of March 3rd, 3/3, which would be a
absolutely.
great day for them to fall, right?
Absolutely.
I
All
haven't
right.
really liked my birthday until now. I'm like, okay, actually, I like it now. If it's
Yeah.
the end of for them. All right, you ready to pray?
Let's do it.
Thank you so much, Lord, for your promises in your word. We know that you have promised that this day would come when we would be delivered from our enemies. And we just thank you that you have awakened us, and that you have helped us to see through so many things. And just, Lord, just guide us on what you would have us to share, so that other people can awaken also, and realize what's going on, and that we can see the end of our enemies, and everyone all throughout the world set at peace and with health and wealth all over the world. We pray all this in your wonderful name, King Jesus. We want you to rule this world. In your great name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you very much, Melissa. And it's really nice to
Love
see you after a
you
quite a short,
too.
long time.
Missed you.
I
Missed
miss
you.
you too. And I'll speak to you again very soon. You take
All
care.
right. Love you
Bye bye.
guys.
Love you.